I was 6 years old when this happened, and what I remember from it is it was late at night. I woke up in bed and my whole room was just filled with light. And what I remember, it was just like a bright, blinding, bluish white light that left no shadows anywhere in my room. And then all of a sudden, I just see these two small beings just appear right by my window in my room. And they were wearing this like tight-fitting, silvery, glittering, shining body suit type thing. And I felt this pounding sensation in my whole body and my whole head. This voice just said, "Come with us." And that was it. I didn't question it. I just went. My body was just under its own control or something. I just went. And then the next thing I know, I'm just floating up through the air, and I can see the night sky, I can see the city below me, and then I see just this bright white light up ahead of me, and then I'm just inside this large hangar type area, and I'm seeing everything was like white panels, flush, metallic concave beams, and it was just, I can't properly describe it. It was like something out of a movie. And these two beings were standing right next to me, one on each side, and I remember them guiding me around, just showing me things. And I remember seeing these silver orbs just parked along the side wall to my left. And then I look over and I'm seeing like these tall human looking people with these more of these small littler beings. And at that point I just get terrified and I just start running. I just this hallway that I just go down. I'm running down this hallway and I see this large window up to my right, and I run up to the window and I see just the blackness of space. I don't see any stars, but I just see like this curvature, blue, white, shiny thing in the bottom left outside the window. And then that terrifies me even more. I have no idea where I'm at that point. And I just keep running down this hallway, and it comes to like a little junction to where I see another one of those human looking people kneeling down in like some crates or boxes. And then when I get to that little cross section, this being grabs me, and I feel more of that pounding inside telepathic voice inside my head saying, "Whoa, hey, you're not supposed to be here." And at that point, I'm just petrified. No idea what's going on. And these two beings show up again, and then they grab me. And then at that point, I'm completely paralyzed. I can't move. And they're either carrying me or floating me or something. They're carrying me back down this hallway, and they lead me to this squarish room. And it had like a brown diffused light inside of it. Everything was just like a hue of like brown. And I remember seeing like this science-y station looking thing with like a bunch of screens, tubes, beakers, whatever it was, just off to the right in the corner. And there was this large praying mantis looking thing standing over it, doing stuff with the little whatever it was. And these two beings lay me down onto this reclined table, and I'm laying down on my back, and I'm still paralyzed. I can't move, and my hands are in like an upright curved position, and I can't move, like completely paralyzed. And the whole time it was excruciating pain. And I remember one of the beings just sat there by the table just staring at me, and I could see their eyes. They were this large circular golden brown speckled eyes. I mean, they didn't have like the sclera or whatever it is, the whites of our eyes that we normally do. It was just complete iris. It was complete. There's large black pupils. They're staring at me this whole time. And I remember this large insect praying mantis looking thing comes around the table, grabs my head and turns it to the left, and then sticks a large needle into my neck behind my ear. And at that point, everything just went fuzzy. Everything just felt warm, fuzzy, and just like I was in a daze. And the next thing I know is I'm able to move again, and these smaller little beings, they grab me off the table and they lead me to an adjacent room. And in that room, they hand me a small black box and they had me open the box, and inside the box it just exploded in light. It was like an information download watching 1,000 movies play at once at like light speed. It was just memories, images of like mountains, stars, symbols, mathematical equations, like flashes as images of like different memories of like just normal stuff, like walking down a roadway, walking up to a hill, just random stuff, maps, all random shit. And at that point, it brought me to a memory of my own past life, to where I saw my own family die in a car accident, walk up to my own house, and then I shot myself. And then that memory ended, and then once that ended, they took the box away and closed it. And then they led me back down that hallway that I was running down at the beginning, led me back into that large hangar type area, and then I was just in my room, and then they were laying me back down into my bed, and then they walked back to my window, and they turned around, and that telepathic voice again said, "We'll be seeing you again soon." And then that was it. I have no idea what happened, who they were. Apparently it's all part of the plan, and they don't tell you what the plan is. It's just that you're a part of it. And I'm a science guy, I'm a spiritualist guy. I don't think that these things are angels, demons, or anything like that. I think they're people just like us, and I don't know what they want with us.
I've never told anybody this story, and I don't know if it's real or not, but I do know that this had happened to me when I was like 16 years old. So I'm at a friend's house in Minnesota, probably back in like 2013. I remember being at my homie's house, and I had fallen asleep, and I vividly remember a UFO or something. I know that sounds crazy, of like this silver craft with a green light scanning into the house. When this was happening, I don't know where my friend was at the time, and I remember going outside, and the craft was landed, and like a little runway thing came down, and these 2 or 3 little like people with like robes over their head came up and were talking to me, but like telepathically, not like with words. And I was like, "Why won't you show your face?" Like all these things. And like, "Oh, we don't want to scare you." They ended up like putting their hoods down, and it was like gray aliens like you see on social media and shit. So I remember getting on the craft and laying on this like machine thing, because we were about to go somewhere, and laying on this, like, imagine like a ninja motorcycle machine, or like a seat. And I remember laying down like on my stomach, holding with like a face mask, like I was on like a Kawasaki or something ninja. And we took off, and I remember like when we took off, my stomach just like completely fucking dropped, like, you know, like when you're about to fall. And next thing you know, I remember we get to like a place like Earth, and we get to a place like an airport, but like it seemed like it was like 50 years in the future. Like everything was like super like high tech. And we were at the airport. They showed me around their, like, I guess you could say planet, or like their city. After that, when I woke up, my friend was like, I don't know where he was in the house and shit. And I remember leaving and just going home and being like, what the fuck? But it felt super real. Obviously, like, it could be a dream, it could be real, but like this shit, it like really happened, and I have full detail of like everything. So what do y'all think? Let me know down in the comments. Has anything like this happened to y'all before?
You and I were talking yesterday about mantids. I'm talking to people who say that they have been visited by mantid beings, and I'll freely admit 5-6 years ago I would have laughed them out of town and gone, they're completely crazy people. These people, whether what they're seeing is real or not, I believe that they have had what they perceived as mantid beings in their home. And there is not a trace of guile in the way that they are telling me this story. And what's interesting is those mantid beings are telling them to engage with me. And it's getting quite personal, because this is happening quite a lot to me. And I don't think I'm important. I'm just a journalist. I really truly believe all I'm doing is following an absolute ball terror of a story. And frankly, it suits me that the rest of the media don't chase this up, because at the moment, very few people are running around chasing it.
Yeah, you're on the ground floor.
It's just a mind-blowing story.
Okay, Ross, this is an email coming in from John. Hello, Ross. You recently mentioned many people are sending you their experiences of first-hand contact with mantis-like alien beings. Can you give some examples of what these experiences entail?
Okay, look, out of respect for the people involved who've been giving me their very personal and often quite traumatic accounts, not all of them are negative, by the way. Some of them are incredibly positive. There's a couple I'm talking to who, for example, describe the beings as deeply benevolent and kind and quite loving. And if you can take those accounts seriously, there is a consistency to what they're describing, and I made a note of those points. In physical appearance, in height and build, believe it or not, these beings are often 7 or 9 feet tall, very elongated, thin bodies, limbs that feature multiple joints for enhanced flexibility, just like an insect. The heads and eyes are triangular, wedge-shaped, with large, slanted black or reflective eyes that dominate the face. There's some reports that have a V-position slant to the eyes, giving an intense, piercing gaze. The body and skin is segmented, kind of like an exoskeleton, kind of like an insect, sometimes very oily, reflective, or chitinous, in shades of dark green, brown, or black. They may have 3-pronged fingers and feet and a bipedal posture. And incredibly, they're often seen wearing robes, such as flowing purple garments, which may signify a hierarchical or ceremonial role. And in the context of encounters, they often appear alongside other entities like greys, reptilians, and they often seem to be in charge, the overseers. The people have described being levitated into spacecraft, subjected to examinations, and having memories extracted by these beings. They're often inside bright ships, alleged, and all of this is alleged. It's experiencer accounts. I don't know how we can ever verify them. There's often operation rooms, hybrid environments. There's often altered states like hypnosis, the use of DMT that allow these experiences, high stress periods. And a lot of the people I'm talking to multiple people who've had alleged encounters with these beings. They say these encounters have been lifelong, as if whatever they are, they've been monitoring these individual humans across their entire lifetime. I freely admit, like some of the more esoteric areas of UAPology, I have no idea what to make of this. All I'm doing is reporting the accounts or descriptions of what experiencer witnesses say they've experienced. I don't know if they're real. I don't know if they're hallucinations. What I do find interesting is the consistency of the accounts. If these people are all having hallucinations or delusions, why are so many of the supposed delusions so similar? And really, that's all I can offer. If anyone wants to share their mantid stories, I'm ready and willing to hear it.
Sue's 56. She's experienced abduction since childhood. They've been very traumatic experiences for her. In the course of time, she's managed to overcome her fear, among other things by painting her visitors.
It was so scary to me when I think about it, but then when I finally was able to paint it, then it didn't seem so scary to me. His face doesn't look that scary. He almost looks like he has a look of wonderment.
The first abduction Sue remembers clearly occurred when she was 19. A pulsating blue light woke her as it made its way across the bedroom. They're here, she thought. She heard her mother get up, call her, and then go back to bed. Terrified, Sue found the courage to turn around. It was then she noticed 2 small gray beings. Then she passed out. The next day, her mother confirmed that she did get up after hearing a noise in her daughter's room, but that some sort of a force compelled her to go back to bed. Gradually, Sue would come to realize that she'd been abducted since childhood.
That was really, when I was 19, was the first time that I remembered seeing these beings when I was a kid. Coming into the room and waking up and finding them standing next to your bed and being terrified. And feeling that, I remember feeling that the world was just not a safe place, that there was nowhere that was safe, that no matter where I went or what I did, that they could find me. and that nobody could help me. Nobody could stop it. It was really scary. Scary way to grow up.
David, Sue's husband, manages a construction company. A nature lover, he's preparing for retirement by turning part of their land into a Christmas tree farm. He's never been abducted himself, and he lived with Sue for over 30 years.
You have seen things yourself around here?
Not so much seeing things, but being paralyzed, held down, and where I can't move. It was involved with things that were going on with Sue, as near as I can tell, and I tried to get up and I'd be paralyzed. I couldn't move.
Do you remember what's happened then?
No, I never can remember anything.
Just before being paralyzed?
Just the noises or something, or she was stirring and I was trying to get up and, to see what was going on. It even happened, that happens here to me too. Seems like a heavy weight is holding me down. That's right. Yeah, just, holding me in bed, and I can't explain it. And I go to sleep or something, and when I wake up, it's okay.
David and Sue have 2 children, Danny and Jake, who are both going on 30 and no longer lived with their parents. In 1990, Sue experienced an abduction in which her 2 children were also involved. Danny was 13 and Jake 11. Night had fallen. Sue and David were woken up by a blue light and their dog, Molly, whining. The dog was downstairs, petrified. Sue got up, but David couldn't get out of bed.
As I walked down the stairs, I remember thinking, I'm going to make sure I'm looking at, this is my home. It's Sunday night, David's in bed, it's 11 o'clock, these are my pictures that are on the wall, this is the color of my rug. I know that I'm awake. And I stepped into the kitchen, and Danny was standing there. He was 13. And he was standing like a robot. I mean, his hands were really down like this against his side, and his eyes were really big, and he looked so scared. And I stepped toward him, and I remember thinking, my God, he's paralyzed with fear. And I put my hands out to him, and I said, sweetie, they won't hurt you. They won't hurt you. You'll be okay. They won't hurt you. And it was like he couldn't even hear me. He didn't look at me. His eyes were just like straight ahead. And the light was all around us at that time. I walked past him and pulled in behind him, stepped in behind him. And just as I stepped in behind him, I could see Jake coming in the other door into the kitchen. And I remember thinking I was so angry because I thought, they've been messing with me my whole life. Don't mess with my kids. But there was nothing I could do. When I woke up, I laid awake for a few minutes, and I thought, it had to have been a dream. Sue, he said, you did get up. He said, and I did speak to you. You were walking around the end of the bed, and he said, I asked you where you were going, and you said that Mally was crying and that you were going downstairs. He said, I tried to get up, and I couldn't move because it was like I was paralyzed, and something was pushing down on me, and everything went black, and I couldn't remember anything after that.
The birds are eating the bugs in the tree, so it's time to, make it into wood. See the holes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just why the limbs are breaking off, and it's just, I'd rather burn it than just have it rot. What do you want to know, Captain?
Just to know what you're feeling about all this thing happening to Sue and your children.
Oh! I don't know.
I mean, it's something so weird. How did you react first when was it the first time you noticed that something was going wrong?
Well, she started having, these experiences she has since she was a child. And then you know, after the boys were born, there's just more and more stuff happening to her. And so we just, you know, and I just learned more about it by listening to her, just like spirituality I've learned by listening and watching what happens. And you know, pretty much that's, you know, that's the way it is. It just, there's not much you can do about it. There's just a lot of educated people that believe, you know, in the UFO phenomenon, and I'm not putting myself as one of the educated, but you have to keep your mind open for everything, you know, and so that's what it is.